For any of you guys that are Drake fans, I'm sorry, you're gonna have to leave the room.
I just don't enjoy it. It's not an enjoyable experience for me, and I don't like any of you.
This is going to be a video analyzing what exactly happened between Kendrick and Drake from an OP perspective and trying to figure out like why Kendrick won so handily, why Drake got beaten so badly, and how to make sure that doesn't happen to you. For anyone who don't know, so Kendrick Lamar and Drake, they're musicians, they're rappers, and they've been kind of biting at each other through their music over the past decade or so. The most notable is when Kendrick Lamar released his verse on the Control song and really just kind of called out everyone in the industry and said, I have love for you all, but I want to be the best rapper ever. You know, forget all you've got. Drake didn't necessarily respond too kindly for that, but they still collaborated, right? They had songs together. But then sometime around early 2024, Kendrick Lamar was featured on the song Like That. And that kick-started everything off because Kendrick said, forget the big three, it's just the big me.
Still got PTSD, motherfuck the big three. Nigga, it's just big me.
I'm better than Drake and J. Cole. And Drake didn't take too kindly to that. And he responded by calling Kendrick short in some of his songs. And it just became this beef, this feud over music. Long story very short, Drake thought he won by calling Kendrick like a wife beater on some of his songs, and then Kendrick basically called Drake a PDF. If you know, you know.
Trying to strike a chord and it's probably A minor. Certified lover boy, certified pedophile.
But from an OP perspective, it's like, okay, what exactly happened? What you want to take a look at is, first of all, you have to understand what their types are, what their similarities are, and where their differences are, and then we can start to compare and contrast. So Kendrick's or unofficial official type is audio, NITI, sleep, consume, play, blast, last. Drake's type is audio as well, SETE, play, consume, blast, sleep, last. And so you can already see some differences and similarities, right? One's an energy dom, one's an info dom. Both are audios, both have feminine DE. One has TIFE, one has FITE. So it's like, okay, how do we make sense of what happened here with this debate, with this feud? I think the biggest lesson that you could take away from this feud is that feminine DE and masculine DI are very passive aggressive, and they'll be willing to be passive aggressive for years until you get like a buildup and just one excuse to let everything loose. So Kendrick had all of this resentment towards Drake for years. And it's actually rumored that Kendrick made like a 10-minute diss song and split it up into his various diss tracks that he released over time. So very sleep, very processed, very introverted stewing. Even in all of his diss tracks, he was like, hey, you know, I kind of hate you, but you can kind of back out, Drake. And I kind of hate you, and I kind of back out. So it was very sleep, but it was still very feminine DE and masculine DI. Drake's version of that was very play, blast, very extroverted, right? So he was still very passive aggressive, not saying names, but we all knew who he was talking about until the kind of beef started. And then what Drake did is he kind of tried to smother Kendrick with content, right? So he released song after song. He was posting on Instagram, making fun of Kendrick, making fun of Metro Boomin, who was the like producer that was associated with this whole thing. Drake was trying to like overwhelm him with like, I would say SE, but it was still also a little bit passive aggressive where it's like, yeah, like I also don't like you, but you know, you could back out too if you really want to. Drake goes, I would say, a step too far where it's like he starts accusing Kendrick's, I think, wife. He's like, your wife is with the bodyguards and they're having like this affair. Like it was kind of like this little one-line jab. But Drake basically kind of alludes to Whitney doing some stuff. And then Kendrick comes out of the gate saying, hey, look, like you crossed the line, like keep it friendly. I don't necessarily like you. I'm gonna be passive aggressive a little bit, but I don't like you, but if you back down now, we're cool. And then Drake comes out with Family Matters, which is crazy because Kendrick then responds within 20 minutes, which is unheard of. And then Kendrick like basically says, yeah, I wish you died. I like you're into children, like all these crazy stuff. You're not a good father. You're into drugs and all this type of stuff.
What I'm about to say is heavy, now listen. Your son's a sick man with sick thoughts. I think niggas like him should die. Him and Weinstein should get fucked up in a cell for the rest of their life.
And then finally, you know, you have Not Like Us, which was kind of like dancing all over the grave at that point. And Drake has not recovered. Stop. This was not a fair fight. That first point comes back to feminine DE and masculine DI assumes that everyone else is kind of a force and a threat. So it's like, we will tiptoe around each other as much as possible and we'll try and back out of conflict as much as possible. Even with the sleep last, even with the save your sleep, they wanted that mutual, initially. The second major lesson is, I think one of the reasons why Kendrick won so badly is because I think, you know how Dave says FE can see FI, but not the other way around? FE, so Kendrick, even though he's Savior TI, he still has FE, right? So he's able to see the culture's values, what people like, what people value, and more importantly, what people don't like and what people don't value, and more specifically, what they don't like about Drake.
I don't like Drake. I think he's an actor. He's not a real rapper.
I agree, 100%.
So in all of his disses, they landed a lot harder with the culture because he was calling out stuff that everyone already believed about Drake. Whereas Drake was kind of shooting in the dark and just kind of saying, oh yeah, Kendrick, you're short. That was basically what it was. You're getting extorted by your producer. Oh, and you're a wife beater, which was not true, turns out. And like all this like stuff that didn't land as much. So that's kind of the second lesson. If you're in a competition, do not go against your extroverted counterpart because they see you. Drake had a chance to do that with TE, but he failed. And maybe in a future video, I'll talk about how TE can do this in conflict resolution or whatever. And then finally, I'm actually gonna bring in social types. Now I think Kendrick's a 3. And I think Drake is either a 1 or a 2. So it's the specialized versus the generalized coin. Drake was trying to do everything everywhere, right? He was trying to play the marketer, he was trying to play the musician, he was trying to play the dancer, all this type of stuff to kind of make fun of Kendrick. Whereas Kendrick was like, yo, I'm gonna decimate you purely through music, and I'm not gonna play all this social bullshit, right? I'm just gonna focus on my craft and just destroy you that way. That was the most important measure of whether they won or not. It's like, was your music better or not? And was your accusations more serious or not? And I think Kendrick and specialists in general, just don't mess with specialists in their area of expertise. Like, it's really stupid. That's my basic take. Please, if you're a specialist, keep doing what you're doing. If you're a generalist, please maybe stay out the way. And then use your extroverted functions to your advantage if you have to be in a conflict with someone, and like just call them out for their bullshit. Like, I think that's the easiest way to get around instead of trying to like distract or be kind of misguided in your efforts. I have a lot more to say about this. If you have any comments or questions or any just feedback about what you thought about the beef and how you would interpret it from an OP perspective, feel free to leave it in the comments below. Love to hear it. I love engaging with you guys. All right, take care.
Hey, anybody using this chair?
Actually, I was, you bitch. It was for my hat, but you took it from me. Now we never going back. I could never trust you, cause you were rude to my hat. If Josh Gad was here, he would've made me laugh. Damn.